Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Gregory Hummer from Identify Sensors. Today, we're going to talk about vaccines and testing and how they can play a role in keeping us all safe. So this is one of our weekly meetings that we're going to be discussing. And if you haven't tuned in for some of the other ones, I'd advise you to go back and look at some of the prior videos that we've shot. So let's talk about vaccines and how that works. Today, there's several different types of vaccines out there. There's a messenger RNA and there's the standard type of vaccine by Johnson & Johnson. A lot of these vaccines are very, very good. They're very beneficial. But we don't know how long they're going to last, and we don't know if they actually stop a person from being a carrier. For instance, I can have the vaccine and 2 months later, I come in contact with somebody that actually has an active virus. They cough. The virus gets in my nose, it gets in my throat. Now I'm immunized, so I don't really get sick, but can I pass that virus on to the person that's next to me in an airplane or whatever, or in a restaurant? We don't know that. It was never tested for it. Some of the vaccine makers are pretty sure it could, but we don't know for sure. The other thing for sure that we know is that you're going to have boosters. More and more we hear the vaccine makers talk about you'll need another shot in another 8 weeks or another year, or this could be every year that you need a shot. Why does that happen? And what's the story on that? Here's the story. When you get a measles, mumps, and rubella shot when you're a kid and you get 3 vaccines, it usually gives you lifelong immunity. This is a different type of virus. Immunity is not lifelong. In fact, it may only be as much as 8 months to 9 months. So therein lies the reason why testing is going to be so important. We also know that once you have this virus, you can also get it again, usually in about 5 to 6 weeks. Now, if you go to a physician and you recover from COVID, a lot of physicians are telling you it's possible you could get reinfected in 3 to 4 months. That's pretty quick. Now, active infection in your body actually should impart immunity, right? But we know that you can get this again. So the best vaccine is almost getting the active infection. So we know if you can get the active infection and you can get reinfected again in 8 months or so, then that means testing is still going to be very important. So testing will help open up the economy. Like take New York City, for example. A lot of things are closed, bars, restaurants, other facilities where people congregate. Why? Well, it's because we don't know who's a spreader. With our type of test, you will be able to test yourself at home inexpensively and find out if you have COVID, because our test actually detects low levels, just like a RT-PCR test detects low levels of virus. Low enough so that you could be carrying the virus but not sick yet with symptoms. So we call that asymptomatic carriers. So if you're an asymptomatic carrier and you don't know it, and you go to work or you go to school, you could be spreading the virus, even though you're feeling well. So if you're in a critical position or an employment position, like a pilot on a plane, you can literally test yourself every morning, every day, and find out if you're negative or positive. So that's the way it rolls with vaccines and these types of tests. And besides, the RT-PCR test is a complicated test. It's a logistical nightmare to be testing. You can't do it at home. You just can't. It requires enzymes, reagents. It requires a trained person to do the test. And the antigen tests aren't going to fulfill that bill either, because an antigen test can have false negatives and false positives. And as the spike protein begins to change and we have these variants that happen, we're going to find out that as they call the paper or the fast test or the antigen test, start to produce a lot of false negatives because they won't be able to pick up the new spike proteins. And people will think, I'm sick, I got a fever, they do a quick test and it's negative, and they'll go out and say, well, it's something else. But really, it may indeed be a COVID-19 infection. And of course, false negatives are the things that you have to avoid because that's the danger. There's a danger in that. So that's all for today. And please tune in, check out our prior videos, and check for future videos coming up. Thank you very much.